Christmas season. It is today at New Year's Dash, and we are going to talk about a show that occurred on Monday at Otis City General Gymnasium, 2,348 in attendance. And to join me is our New Japan correspondent to round out this series of Today At. Here's Christy. How are you doing, Mom?
Hi. Yeah. Much better than last time because I was exhausted and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch. This is going to sound really weird to the people who really enjoyed Wrestle Dynasty, but it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch Wrestle Dynasty in a set amount of time, and I'm not gonna be able to make it, and I really don't want to talk about it. And then the internet blew up about a certain thing we will absolutely talk about. So I was like, well, I'm gonna skip it. But I'm here now, and I quite enjoyed this card. It was silly and it was inconsequential, but it was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was a little bit low key, I feel. I think we discussed this, didn't we, before? In prior conversations, it was kind of a good house show with lots of cool stuff on it, but it wasn't as monumental as perhaps I thought it may have been. Not that that's a bad thing, because it was a fun show. It skipped along quite nicely, and there was a lot of good wrestling, and there was good matches, and there was story, but it wasn't. There could have been stuff, but there wasn't stuff, but they're saving that for later, which I feel is a good thing. Would you say?
Yeah, I think after two very big shows and a lot of drama, it's probably best that we don't add more drama. Just let it settle for a bit. Let everyone, like the new fans, let them get used to what New Japan is all about, and then throw in all the weird shit.
Yeah, true. We decided we were going to talk about the elephant in the room. A small, bespectacled elephant, if you will, who favours bow ties over straight ties. Mr. Christopher Charlton of this parish was not in attendance on Monday, which was also noted by several wrestlers who came to the microphone and said, "Where's Chris?" Walker Stewart was on commentary. His answer was, "I am not at liberty to say." To which Jeff Cobb responded, "Well, I'll watch what you say then, I guess." Which brings us to the thought of Mr. Charlton and his comments on Sunday during Wrestle Dynasty. Now, myself and Marcus, if you listen back to this week's Truth and Show, did discuss this. And to be honest with you, I didn't think much to it. I thought it was Chris being the voice of Yotsuji and the voice of Gabe Kidd, which he often is, the voice of the antagonist or the voice of the protagonist, depending on the match. And yeah, he was a bit spicy with his words towards Tony Khan, but overall, I didn't think it was particularly an issue. Having said that, Tony Khan's right-hand man was sat next to him, and apparently it was an issue. Now, I'm of the opinion that it is probably a work, because A, Chris isn't that stupid, and B, Rocky was sat right next to him, who could have just pulled him off the microphone and said, "Stop it," and move on.
But he did, though.
Did he?
He did tell him to calm down.
Yeah, he did, but he didn't do it off air, which is what he should have done. He shouldn't have done it on air, if you see what I mean. But
can you though? If
you can turn your microphones off and talk to him directly while Walker's talking about something else.
Yeah, but can you really, when Walker's microphone is still on and catching shit, and
those microphones
with a crowd behind you watching your every move?
You can do, yes. I've seen them do it before.
Okay, I think it's unlikely to break up. Anyway, continue.
Anywho, I think it's likely to be a work. Someone called me stupid and blocked me for thinking it would be a work because they said, well, they wouldn't have suspended him. And I was like, no, they absolutely would have suspended him to make you think it was a work. Have you not watched professional wrestling before? He didn't like that, and he blocked me for it. Okay. Never knew who he was. I just saw a comment, and it was interesting as well. Being a heel commentator isn't working for him, and it's like, but he's not, is he? He's being a babyface commentator because Gabe was the babyface in that match, and that's what he was trying to portray. And there are other reasons as well. Kidani, at the press conference after Wrestle Dynasty, did suggest that they should have laid into the rivalry narrative a bit more, because that's really what sells tickets. And obviously the biggest feuds in Japanese wrestling history have been interpromotional rivalry matches, UWFI versus New Japan, etc. So that makes me feel it's probably at work. But we don't know, and we have to work on the facts that have been presented to us, which suggest that Chris has been suspended for his comments for 2 months, which should bring him back at the end of after New Beginnings. What's your thoughts on all of this, Christy?
Well, okay. First of all, I heard about all the fuss through Twitter because I didn't watch Wrestle Dynasty. I have read some of Chris's quotes, not heard them, because I still don't feel like watching that match because it got a bit bloody for my taste.
Yeah.
But I've seen some of the quotes, and so initially this was me going, well, that's just what we've been doing for months now. Like, the New Japan wrestlers have been being anti-AEW for months now. So I put a tweet out there which got like 2,000 likes or whatever before I deleted it because I got nervous because of all the attention from AEW fans, saying just for those who don't know, the New Japan versus AEW storyline and AEW's disrespectful towards New Japan storyline have been ongoing for months. It's just that it has been one-sided, and the other side apparently wasn't aware of it, because the New Japan wrestlers have been doing this. Like from before Moxley got the title, like before Forbidden Door, every time there's some sort of inter-promotional angle, this comes up. And why I think this comes up is because New Japan wrestlers are accustomed to telling a story. And they're like, well, if no one is going to give us an angle, we're going to go with the most obvious angle that we can think of. Us good, them bad. Like, it felt like this is just a continuation, especially because Gabe Kidd continued it, like, overtly, obviously.
Yeah.
Everything Charlton said, Gabe Kidd said in his promo.
Yeah. And Yotsuji had said some of it, the stuff he said during Yotsuji's match, or Suji said before. Yeah. As well.
Like, the list of people who have said anti-AEW stuff is long. I would know because I made that list on Twitter. So I took all the screenshots and stuff. Like Hiromu, Naito, Sanada, Yota, Shota, Great Khan, Tai Chi, David Finlay, I think. Then Narita. Who am I missing? Like there's Jeff Kalb, Hinare, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the list is endless of people who are like, well, fuck AEW for treating us this way. So I was going into this, they're just continuing. And my assumption, based on nothing, just my opinions and what I've seen, is that was the intention. And knowing Kenny was probably like, go for it.
I would also say that Kenny played the heel in the match. He wasn't overtly a heel until they did the spots outside the ring when he landed on the table and asked Shimmer Kato for an ice bag, and because Kato didn't, he pushed him out of the way when he finally got an ice bag, which the fans close to it saw, obviously in person, started booing him then, because it was. Gabe did a good job of going it over as New Japan versus AEW, funnily enough.
Yeah, I think that's the problem here, is that everything up till that point had been for New Japan fans only. Because most of AEW's fervent fans aren't going to see random backstage promos on a Row 2 show on New Japan World.
No.
Especially if that promo is in Japanese and you have to wait a day and a half for it to get translated, And then you have to go back to the YouTube page or New Japan World to see what they actually said. Like, that's not going to happen.
No, and just to give you an example, Mike Freeland, who used to host Wrestling Rewind, who is a massive AEW fan and religiously watches everything they do, when Gabe called out, God knows who Gabe called out everyone, didn't he, in the last 12 months? About 6 months ago, he called out Kenny Omega, and Mike had no idea who Gabe was. You know, now Gabe's got a bigger name since, but it's still unlikely that some AEW fans even know who Gabe Kidd is, never mind pulling promos on people. So, yeah.
So you've got that. You've got months and months of that. I feel like that this was a continuation of that. Only the problem was, or the difference was, that this time it was an English-speaking commentator on the biggest co-branded show of the year, where half of the audience probably was AEW fans.
Yeah. And it was also going out on Triller TV, not just New Japan World.
Yeah. And suddenly it blew up. Because everyone heard the comments that Gabe Kidd had said himself.
Yeah.
And because it blew up, New Japan got antsy. They were like, oh, shit. Because New Japan is usually very lenient on what they allow their guys to say. Like Gabe Kidd in the past, the shit he said to Tanahashi. Like worse than what he's been saying to Tony Khan. Let's just... Yeah.
His own boss.
His own boss. To his face. Yes, in a language he's not comfortable with, but Tanahashi would have gotten the translation at some point. So, and New Japan, because culture and business practices and stuff, was like, we can't have Tony Khan actually get upset with us.
No, I would also say the flip side of that is they could have also seen the reaction and gone, we can run with this and make it even bigger if we do this.
Yeah, I'll go.
I'm just saying that is also a possibility. Yeah.
I don't think that was initially the point, because I think Kadani's comment about the rivalry, I think that was the point. Amp up the rivalry. Yeah. And I think they got a little bit unsure about how the other side, the more powerful side in their relationship, would see this.
Yes.
And so they were like, well, we're gonna suspend Chris Charlton to make everyone happy. Everyone calm down, please. And I think this is now going to become an angle. Like, I don't think it was intended to be this kind of angle. I think it was intended to be a basic AEW versus New Japan angle, not through Chris Charlton.
No.
But it's definitely going to become an angle now. Like, the wrestlers are getting involved already, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the commentator...
Tony Schiavone.
Yeah. He got involved for 30 seconds, and then he deleted it.
And this is the thing. Schiavone and Tony Khan are good friends. They've done lots of promo work together. And funnily enough, did promo work when they were working with TNA, where Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan did disc promos between the TNA matches against TNA on their TV show. So it's not like they're not experts at how to do this when Kenny was at TNA World Champion. Yeah.
And I think the problem here is that we don't know who got upset.
No. Or if anyone got upset.
Or if any, and that's what I mean. Like, was it Tony Khan who got upset? I doubt it. I think it was more a case of New Japan was like, oh, this might go wrong. Let's just preemptively suspend him.
Yeah.
But now, which is why I didn't want this rivalry in the first place. You've got both sets of fans rallying against each other, based off of assumptions that no one's ever going to be honest about.
No, of course they're not. This is the thing. If you go back in history, the first major rivalry feud was when IWA invaded New Japan, when IWA closed and all the IWA wrestlers came across and being sensible, we've got all these wrestlers, let's do something with them. And that pumped business. And then a couple of years later, Ricky Chosu and a bunch of wrestlers were kind of stuck on the card. And they all left, supposedly, to start their own wrestling company and invade New Japan from being an independent company. They ended up not doing. They ended up invading All Japan Pro Wrestling, and it was the biggest money anyone made at the time. It was a bunch of New Japan wrestlers from All Japan from this outsider position. I can't remember the name of the company. It was like Japan Pro Wrestling, something like that, a generic name for that particular company. And they all just got absorbed into All Japan over a period of time. They had the initial hit, and that was it. Turns out, 20 years later, New Japan had run out of money, and they couldn't afford to pay him. Baba had the money, and they said, "Go. It's just going to keep you employed, and we'll call you when we need you." And some of the guys stayed with All Japan because they found a home, but more or less all of them ended up back in New Japan in the late 80s anyway. And we don't know that stuff until 20 years later because that's the wrestling business. But it absolutely amazes me that a lot of wrestling fans who don't understand the wrestling industry as much as they think they do have like dismissed the notion that this is a work, because these are wrestling companies. They're experts in pulling the wool over your eye.
Okay, and even if it wasn't supposed to be a work, it's definitely going to be a work now.
Of course it is, because that's wrestling.
And you're never going to be able to find out which it is. But a lot of fans don't seem to get that, and a lot of fans are taking sides. Like, one, I did not want this angle because of this kind of situation. I was concerned the fans would take sides and we would get issues within the fandoms. And I understand why New Japan would want this to happen, because it makes for great stories and fan engagement and people getting behind New Japan, you know? Like, I get it, but from a fan point of view, I'm like, oh no, please no. This is why I didn't want this kind of angle. But now everyone's taking sides. Like, I've seen people being so pro Charlton that I'm like, okay, calm your tits. And so anti Charlton, then I'm like, now you're just going way too far. You're acting like he killed the planet. What the hell? And a lot of takes that seem to misunderstand the way New Japan works. People are like, well, this came out of nowhere. Like, no. This has been an ongoing thing for months, and Gabe literally said these things in his last promo.
Yes, a very detailed 15-minute promo.
This did not come out of nowhere. This was not Charlton just being spiteful. This was literally him quoting Gabe Kidd. And it's not like Charlton doesn't have a habit of doing this. Like, with Noah, he was the same. Not quite as heavy, but then he didn't have Gabe Kidd pushing him on. He didn't have Rocky Romero next to him arguing back. Like, Charlton has a habit. Every commentator for New Japan has a habit of being pro New Japan when it comes to co-branded shows, which I also hate. Like, I hate when they call Noah small or Dragon Gate tiny or this is the big leagues. And they finally found out what real wrestlers are supposed to be like. And like, I hate that shit too, but there's a precedence.
Yeah, that's their job, is to get New Japan
over
at the expense of other people. Yeah.
And then I got comments like, well, commentators are supposed to be neutral. Like, since when? Since when are commentators supposed to be neutral?
Bobby Heenan was neutral, was he? Jerry Lawler? No.
We have heel and face commentators. Yes, we have some that like straddle the middle of it because they have to balance out the heels and the faces. But like, there's no commentators have to be neutral. Especially in a match which pits the two promotions against each other. Like, Walker was the neutral one.
No, exactly. That was it.
And Charlton weren't.
No.
And I think that's another misunderstanding with the New Japan, is that they heavily rely on storytelling. So Charlton is going to go all in on this because that's their story.
Yeah.
And they have always done this. If there isn't a story, they'll make one up.
Yeah.
Which is what the wrestlers have been doing with like Moxley and AEW and the title situation Forbidden Door, and AEW gave them nothing because I don't think AEW was aware. But it has been there. So it's just a lot, and I think some of the comments were a bit much if you hadn't gotten permission from Tony beforehand. But that's how Gabe Kidd exists. And Charles was just playing the role of Gabe Kidd. It's just that he was in a position where a lot more people who aren't used to Gabe Kidd and the way New Japan tells stories paid attention to it and saw it and got upset. And I get why they were upset. Like, they probably were like, why is this commentator out of nowhere doing this? Because they know, and they're not used to the way New Japan tells their stories.
No. And the other thing is like, all wrestling isn't real. We know this. But New Japan has always based itself on a sporting conceit, and therefore things have an edge to them. That while AEW has always kind of had that nod towards that edge, it doesn't have that. It's a different kind of edge with New Japan Pro Wrestling in the sense of they don't break kayfabe. They're not like, telling tales out of school, but they will say things that are based on the reality of the business, because
like Gabe Kidd talking about Tanahashi getting stabbed by his ex.
Yeah.
In front of everyone. What did you say? I'm going to stab you like your ex did, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they do, and Gabe Kidd especially. Like,
yeah, walking into a Noah main event and saying, "Fucking hell, I haven't seen this place this empty since I was a Jew. I'll start that again. Fucking hell, I haven't seen this place this empty since COVID," because that's what you're hiring for. That's his job, and he does it really well.
and I don't like him for it, because I worry about situations like this. But it's what he's been doing for years now.
Yeah, that's.
If you, I'm not going to say you have to watch New Japan to get into this match or whatever, but like there's a story behind it. There's history. There's layers. So many layers. Like, some other wrestlers are so worse things about AEW than Charlton did. Like the whole AEW is using us, like that kind of angle. Several of them were talking about it. The Great O'Khan very in depth talked about how they think the relationship between AEW and New Japan is unfair towards New Japan. Like in a very long blog post.
Yeah.
Like this, Gabe Kidd is very obviously acting, but some of those comments did not feel like acting. So those are worse in my eyes. Anyway, it's frustrating in a way, because I think it takes away from a great weekend. Just like Shota Umino Sucks took away from Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
This takes away from Wrestle Dynasty or Dynasty.
You're Dynasty. So that's probably Gabe's mind. But even it's like you were saying about layers. It's like Marcus is as clued in a wrestling commentator as I know, and he's had a couple of years away from New Japan. And the amount of explaining I had to do on the Wrestle Dynasty review, that wasn't Marcus's fault. But I had to explain a bunch of stuff that's happened because he hasn't watched for a couple of years, and it's not that easy to just slide into New Japan Pro Wrestling. Why does this belt exist? Well, 18 months ago, Dave Finlay attacked Will Ospreay and John Moxley. So yeah, it's like
and he has the advantage. He has a history with New Japan. Like I imagine quite a few AEW fans will have seen some of New Japan, but like not full shows or backstage promos. Like, do you think they would have gone to a Sonata backstage promo, seen, oh, there are no subtitles yet, let's come back in a day? No.
Will they have seen a Gabe's match with Eddie Kingston last summer? Probably not. Maybe. They will not. Maybe, but the odds are is like they've not gone into depth on New Japan Strong or New Japan main products, because why would they? They're AEW fans, and that's kind of the way wrestling is.
Yeah, that's not an attack on them. Like I don't watch AEW either. Like if something were to happen where Rocky as a commentator did something that made me go, huh? I wouldn't have been, this comes out of nowhere, because I wouldn't know.
No, that's it. That's the thing. Is
The biggest problem for me about this is that it sets precedent for the future. That fans might be like, well, we're upset with this, so let's make a fuss about it. And in the beginning, sorry, I have to cough. When someone told me, Charlton's going to get in trouble, I was like, no, he's not. New Japan never cares about what the English language fan base says. They don't give a shit, which is also why I don't think it was the reaction that did it, but just their concern with how AEW would see this.
Yeah.
But now there's a precedent. Now fans might be like, well, we had an influence on it before. Let's go again. And it sucks for Chris, because I don't think you can blame him for the comments, because he was basically parroting Gabe Kidd. And I don't think you can blame Gabe Kidd for it, because this is what he's been doing. And it's never been an issue until now. Which is the target became Tony Khan only because Gabe's opponent was Kenny.
Yeah, of course it was. He's an EVP. And there's also the fact that Chris did apologize at the end of the show. He literally said, so I don't get a horrible phone call tomorrow. I'm really sorry about that. I apologize for my comments, and we'll move on.
Yeah, and then my last thing I'm sad about is that this is going to mess with how New Japan works now in those 2 months. Because we're not going to get translations. So any new fans that we got into New Japan are like, well, what are these guys saying?
Unless Chris is backstage feeding Walker with information.
I'm assuming he is, but it's still not the same. It's still, and it's putting more on Walker than you can probably expect from him, because now he's playing 2 roles and having to listen to translations and stuff like that. It's just, this is supposed to be like the big start of the year of 2 amazing shows, and they were amazing. And the best way for new fans to get into New Japan. And now you're stuck. Well, you're without one of your 2 main English language voices. The one guy who completely understands the culture and the language and the history of New Japan. The backbone, basically, of everything. And he's not here for 2 months. The 2 months that you need to completely get the people that gave New Japan a shot based on those 2 shows.
Yeah.
So a lot of issues for me, to be honest.
Yeah. To be fair, we've got Fantastic Mania, which will let things fly for a bit.
I don't think that will get more people into New Japan, though.
Well, it gets more Mexican fans into New Japan, but not necessarily American fans. Yeah. I assume it does. They keep doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like, I love Fantastic Mania.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really introduce you to the New Japan product.
No, it introduces you to the CMLL product, definitely.
To a weird hybrid attempt at CMLL product.
Need more hair versus hair matches? No, we don't. You won't like that. You'll cry. But yes, that was a weird hair versus hair match I saw this week in MLW. Janelle Kai, who has a mohawk and is the featherweight champion, is defending. I can't remember who against, but it's title versus hair, and I'm like, well, she's barely got any hair.
The moment you said that, I was like Hartley Jackson in a hair.
That's basically what it is. Janelle Kai is kind of like like Thai boxing, bit like Speedball Mike Bailey kind of wrestler, but I love her. She's brilliant, and she's mates with Suzuki as well. So it's like she's ace.
I had to laugh because you made me think of another thing. I was watching All Japan match today, and it had Harley Jackson and Ren Ayabe in it. Do you know who Ren Ayabe is? Do you remember?
Yes, yeah.
The really tall gentleman. And he basically does a bit where he mocks his opponents. Like, he pushes them into the ring ropes, and then because he's taller than everyone, he puts his hand on top of their head, and then he rubs their hair. and he pushed Hartley into the ropes, and I was like, please don't do it. He doesn't have any hair to begin with. You're going to like scrape off at least 10 of them. But he didn't, and I was like, he was like, I can't do this. The man already doesn't have a lot of hair. Let me just pet your chest. Oh no, he pet his beard. That was it. Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
Sorry. Talking about Suzuki.
Yes.
Did you see who took a picture with?
No. Who did you take a picture with?
Chase Owens.
Oh, bless him.
Bless him. No, that's horrible.
I meant Minoru, not him.
No, bless him sounds like, oh, that's nice.
No, bless Minoru for not understanding the world.
Oh yeah. No, I was like, oh no, and it's horrible because Suzuki doesn't deserve to be in the same space as Chase. Especially because I read Suzuki's tweet about it, and apparently he'd found Chase near his shop, looking for his shop, and I was like, of course Chase Owens is going to look for the shop because he wants to buddy up to Suzuki or whatever. Like,
yeah,
go away. But Suzuki running into Chase means Chase is in Japan.
Yes,
which makes me sad.
He's not on this show.
No, yeah, he hasn't been on any of the shows.
No.
But that, like, I was like, oh yes, maybe this is it. Maybe he's finally gone.
Wow.
Because of other things that happened as well. But then I saw this and I was like, oh no, this means he's in Japan. Which
he could
probably
be at the dojo
not
doing stuff. There's possibilities where he could be, but there we go.
Yeah, but he's not fired, which I was hoping for.
No, because he keeps saying, "Oh, I'm still here after 10 years. They're not going to fire him yet, are they?" Yeah, we should just mention this. Tokyo Sports Awards were announced and given out today. And I'm looking at it and trying to remember who won what. So let's see. Sari was given Female Wrestler of the Year from Marigold and various other places. It looks to me, Miyu Iwatani won Match of the Year for the women with someone else who I can't figure out who that is. Oleg Bolton won Spirit Fighting. Mayu, that was it.
Mayu Iwatani.
Mayu Iwatani, not Miyu. Mayu Iwatani, sorry. Oleg Bolton won Fighting Spirit Award. Saito Brothers won the Tag Team of the Year. Aoki from DDT won Best Technical Wrestler. What did Kiyomiya and Azum in from All Japan win? Because I can't remember.
From All Japan, Yuma Anzai.
that was it. I didn't want to get his name wrong. In from All Japan. What did they win? Because I can't remember what that was.
Don't know. I don't pay attention to awards. I just look at the pretty pictures.
Well, you'll pay attention to this award.
Yeah, go to one. I know that one.
Tsuji and Hiroki Goto won Match of the Year for the New Japan Cup semi-final, wasn't it? And your Wrestler of the Year and MVP of the Japanese wrestling industry is Zack Sabre Jr., which is hardly surprising, to be honest.
I'm going to try and find what they won because I feel bad about not knowing what Anzai won.
I guess.
Let me see. I'm going to go to the All Japan page. I'm sure if I scroll down at some point, here we go.
The Being Loveliest Award.
No, he did not mention what he won on his celebratory tweet. That's not good.
No.
Scroll down further. Did you? Oh, Saito's. We know what they won. Oh,
I'm looking at.
There's the picture, the tweet about Hokuto-gun cross-dressing. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't find it.
I also looking at this picture. I've realised who the other person is. It's Bull Nakano. So Dun Matsumoto and Bull Nakano won awards because the most terrifying.
Oh, I found it. The Special Achievement Award.
I'm assuming that Kiyomiya also won a Special Achievement Award, or it might be Popularity Award. I don't know.
I can try and find.
That would be lovely if you could. I probably should have done this before then, but I kind of just slid this in here.
Okay, so Lyric has given some info. So Yuma Anzai won the Outstanding Performance Award.
Oh, okay.
And then Kaito Kiyomiya won Fighting Spirit Award. And Bolton was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, that sounds fair enough to me. They all sound like the reason. I think that's all very justified. A level of awards I can agree with. think that's all
Yes.
reasonable, isn't it? Yeah. And the Japanese amateur team were there as well. Because Sari had a picture taken with them. And, Goto had his picture taken with them because they went to the same high school. Like the captain of the Japanese women's wrestling team went to the same high school as Hiroki Goto. Must be something in the water.
I threw a picture in the Skype chat for you.
Oh. Thank you very much. Yes. Awesome.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate that. I can see everybody now. So all the amateur guys turn up in their tracksuits, the Japanese team's tracksuits, and everyone else is in nice suits or kimonos. So it's cool.
Yeah.
We better talk about this show because we've been like jabbering for half an hour now. And one more quick aside, as we're talking about members of the Charlton family, I had a message t'other day from your Shining Wizards there.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he's got a new book coming out. I will talk to Matt about it and see what we can do to help support him.
That's cool.
We were on the 6th of January. We were at Otis City General Gymnasium, 2,348 in attendance. The show opened with a dark match. Tenkoji, Hiroshi Tenzan, Satoshi Kojima, MLW heavyweight champion Satoshi Kojima and Yuji Nagata defeated Dakai Nagai, Katsuya Murashima, and Shoma Gato. Young boys took a bit of a beating, 8 minutes and 53 seconds. We did mention this the other day that, Hiroshi Tenzan's not looking fit at the moment. He has put some weight on, but nowhere near enough for that body size. So we hope he's okay, because he doesn't seem to be in pain or distress, but it's kind of distressing watching him wrestle, to be honest. And we hope he's okay. What did you think of this match?
Well, about Tenzan, what bothers me the most is that he looks uneven.
Yes.
It kind of feels like his... Which arm was it?
It's the left
right?
arm, isn't it? Oh, right arm. Yeah, it's your right arm.
Right arm and left leg are like atrophied? How do you pronounce that?
Yes, that's atrophied, yeah.
It's like they're not fully functional enough to the point where he can work out with them, because the other arm and the other leg are much bigger and much bulkier, which means he's uncomfortable. Because I saw, like, they won this match. Spoiler, because they were wrestling against Young Lions. And then they were trying to raise their hands, and Tenzan couldn't. He couldn't raise the right hand.
Yeah.
He could barely get it past his shoulder. And it just, like we talked about before, it makes me sad thinking about how he ruined his body for us.
Yeah.
And
he did.
It's now fucked. And he's always been an uncomfortable walker since I've been watching, because his ankle is fucked. But now apparently his right arm and shoulder is fucked too, and that just makes me...
Yeah, I mean, he made his debut a long time ago. 1991 was his debut as a young lion. We're talking like 34 years ago. And the service he's put into wrestling, like the first time I saw him wrestle was in WCW in 97 when he first come back off excursion in Germany. And those stories about him babysitting David Finlay are true. He's been around that long. And he's an absolute staple of the Japanese wrestling industry. But there comes a point where it's like it's not safe for him to be there. And I'm sure they wouldn't put him out there if he didn't feel comfortable. But equally, there comes a point, doesn't there? So, yeah, sorry to be sad, because I love Tenzan. I really, really do. But, it doesn't seem to be good for his health at the moment. Anywho, sad note. Shall we move on?
Yeah, it's just two more things. Just I do enjoy seeing Tenkoji together.
Yes.
That's as much as Tenzan hurts me. Tenkoji heals all my wounds because they're really sweet, and I will never forget that moment where Tenzan got blatantly jealous about someone kissing Kojima before he did. It was really fun. And one comment about Walker, like Charlton wasn't here, so he was like, well, gonna have to call all the names by their Japanese pronunciation now. He was like, Satoshi Kojima. I'm like, since when do we call him Kojima? Or specifically,
Kojima.
since when do you call him Kojima? Like, I know that's how it's supposed to be pronounced, but like the same that it's Kazuchika Okada, and that always it grinded my gears. We always say Kojima, but Walker was like, no, Murashima and Kojima. I'm like, okay, sir, your lessons have been paying off.
And now you're confusing everybody.
I am picking up the slack.
Yes, and his thing, it was one of the comments I'm shouting was that he doesn't pronounce the names properly. I'm like, he's a Japanese teacher. He is pronouncing their names properly. It's Walker that doesn't pronounce them properly. It's fine that he doesn't, because we know what he's talking about. But it's just
the thing is that I know some of them they pronounce incorrectly because it's easier for foreign audiences.
Yeah.
Like Kazuchika. It's not Kazuchika. It's Kazuchika.
Yeah, Kazuchika, yeah.
Kazuchika. But they did it for a reason. And I am okay with it if they stick to one pronunciation. Because they would call him Kazuchika. I can't even say it. Kazuchika on the announcer at big events. And then in the rest it would be Kazuchika. I'm like, well, choose one. Choose one and stick with it. Preferably the Japanese name. Like, just force the audience to get it right. If you're giving in to foreigners like us, then you're just gonna have to call everyone by the wrong name, and I just don't like that. I feel like it's disrespectful. But you know, it's their choice, their company, their names.
Okay then. Shall we move on?
Yes.
To the match of your dreams. This is the perfect Christy match. It is a 5-minute grappling exposition between one of the world's greatest MMA fighters and Oleg Bolton. I'm sure you were just on the edge of your seat through this.
I was into Shibata Tanahashi. That was like one of the few quote unquote matches I watched from Dynasty. This was fine. It wasn't very long.
No. It's the kind of grappling match you can appreciate for its art form.
And it made me pay attention to the commentary a lot. It was like I was kind of bored. But I noticed that Walker, it has been like this show especially really explaining everything.
Yeah.
Like going deep into stuff that we take for granted, like and even going as far as to say like, that's Abe-san. Abe-san is the timekeeper, and he does this and he does that. Oh, and and then you can tell that Walker is talking to the new listeners.
The new fans. Yeah. New Japan for Dummies in the nicest possible way.
Yes. I do have a question though. Why do you think they let everyone know the card ahead of time?
I think possibly because they wanted to. I think it was just kind of like, this is going to be a reset. We're not going to do a ton of new stuff, but we are going to put some tantalizing things out there. Obviously, like Clark Connors and Sanada versus Taichi and Taka Michinoku was like that's. Do you mean like at the beginning of the show, or was it out there before the show started?
No, at the beginning of the show, because they had
they normally do. Yeah, they normally do it after the beginning of the show. They have done it in the past at the beginning of the show. It's not unusual for them to do that.
It's to the point where Walker was even surprised that they did it, because it's not common. Usually, New Year's Dash is a surprise.
Yeah,
and that's what I always enjoyed about it. Like, who's going to come out next? Oh, that music. Oh, that's the like. That kind of thing, and the response by online was very, why did they change this?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to
the fact that even Walker was like, why did they do this, indicates that it's not something he was expecting.
If you go back to 2016 and 17, the shows we reviewed not long ago for the Christmas special, they did announce the matches at the beginning of that show. So it's not like they haven't done it before. Not recently, no. It's
So
been
I
a bit
was
more of a
just kind of
surprise base.
curious why they would do it now.
Mm-hmm.
I have my thoughts.
Mm.
I feel like they were concerned that people were getting too ahead of themselves about the expectations, and they wanted to temper those. Like, no, we are not going to have Kenny Omega. No, we are not going to have all the AEW stars.
Yeah.
Don't expect them.
No, I also think that from the expectation point of view, I think there was big expectations about the relationship between Gabe Kidd and David Finlay in Bullet Club War Dogs, because obviously Gabe's just come off this massive match, even though he had a moral victory in that match, but he didn't have a victory in the match. But equally, Dave Finlay's come off a massive loss. Now, he did right the ship on Sunday, but it's still like, for a man who has to keep winning to keep his future alive, he cannot afford to lose, because he's Napoleon. If he loses, that's it, you're done. So that's the story of David Finlay. That's the thing that he has to keep moving forward. I think there was probably a lot of expectation on that story would explode today, because it's kind of the place where things happen at Bullet Club, as we previously discussed. But generally speaking, things don't happen for Bullet Club until King of Pro Wrestling, do they? That's their big celebration for the War Dogs more than for Bullet Club itself. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think it was tamper some expectation and bring things back to normality.
Yeah, and maybe sprinkle a little bit of doubt about the people who aren't on the card, so you can think about it for the rest of the card.
Yeah.
Like, why aren't they there? Like for match 3, for example.
Why aren't the AEW guys there? Were they offended by Chris? Have they just gone home?
Yeah, but I don't think Walker mentioned that.
No,
right?
But I think, what I'm saying is, like, that's still a seed of doubt that's put in the back of people's minds. There was no AEW telling them the show. But yeah, no, it's an interesting point to bring up. I like Josh Barnett a lot. He's very, very cool. And I think it was a nice little time limit draw. I'm glad he's doing some work with them in the dojo. I'm not ready for Josh Barnett on the full roster. I don't think he's bothered either, which is good. But a little bit of an Okiism. It's creeping back in there. A little sparkly grappling. I like that. That's cool. Should we go on to the main card?
Yes. Was it not the main card? I thought the Alliance
was. It was the main card, but I'm thinking the rest of the main card.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And now I'm getting confused, James.
Getting back to normal procedures is what I was thinking. United Empire, Francesco Akira, Great O'Khan, Jacob Austin Young, Jeff Cobb, and TJP defeated El Fantasma Jado, Master Wato, Shota Umino, Tomoyaki Honma. You basically got your mini faction that you wanted, except for
I wrote that down too.
Yeah,
it's just one guy missing and one is on the wrong side of. No, 2 guys missing and one is on the wrong side of the team.
Yes, and Jacob Austin Young. 10 minutes and 50 seconds. This was fine. The most interesting thing to come out of this was the relationship between Jeff Cobb and TJP seems to be testy. TJP will now float off and we won't see him again until Best of Super Juniors, but testy. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like, oh, great. 2 douchebags having issues. Oh, joy.
Watching 2 people I don't like have a few wonderful. At least they're wrestling each other.
Yeah, it's yeah. Do you have any more thoughts, or do you want?
No, really. It did just kind of happened. There was more aggression from United Empire. The obvious things about this was Great O'Khan destroying Shota Umino's paper belts that he brought to the ring that fans had sent.
There he.
Yes, this is the king that's kind of going to make Christy very angry. So you're going to get a rant in a minute.
No, it's fine.
They're going to get fangirl rant in a minute. This was this was good. It was what it needed to be, and it puts an edge on United Empire that's not been there for a while. So I liked that, because they're supposed to be tweeners, and they've been a bit too frothy to be tweeners lately. So this has kind of put them back in their place. Your thoughts, then, please.
Okay, so yeah, my first comment is also, oh look, it's basically all the members of my tiny Honsai mini faction. ELP, Jado, Shota Umino, Master Wato, and then Akira on the other side. Like, the only people who are missing are Hikuleo, sad, and Desperado. And then we have my faction. So that was nice. Sadly, Honma was here, but whatevs. Jado is back to coming out with the ELP instead of like Shota or Wato, which is cool. ELP asking about where Charlton is, yeah.
See, someone passed a comment and said it didn't sound like the wrestlers were happy about it. It's like they were making jokes about it.
At best, they sounded confused, like genuinely confused. Like, where's Chris?
I think they were generally making a point.
Oh, they were, but like, if you want to take anything out of that, it was confusion, not like annoyance. Like, why would they be annoyed?
No, that's it. They like Chris.
What?
Well, Cobb doesn't like Chris, but the DLP likes Chris. It's like, where's Chris?
Even Cobb has been doing the whole anti-AEW comments. So like, anyway, and talking about the Jeff Cobb and TJP tension, what I thought was really interesting at the end of the match was that Akira was standing next to Cobb while they were arguing. Akira took Cobb's side, not TJP's side, which is what's going on there. Was that just kind of by accident or intentional? We'll have to see.
Akira comes out as feminist news at 11.
But then he's like with the homophobe. So anyway. So I guess we're going for Gredo Khan, Shota Umino, and then ELP Cobb and Akira Wato. I think that those are the feuds we're going to get from this match.
Yes, which all seems fairly reasonable to me.
Yeah, and Cobb asked about Charlton here too. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say less belts as well means they've got to get some more action going to give a certain sense of ranking to where things are, if you see what I mean. It's like if you've taken one of the belts out of the equation, then you kind of like got to give a sense of level of ranking. The way you get that is by more singles matches. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we lost King of Pro Wrestling, but also the tag belts for now.
Yeah.
So
wow, they're coming back.
Well, we'll see. What else? Oh yeah, the bit about Shota's belt. I posted this on Twitter, which I thought was I thought it was a really nice shot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Oh God, I opened it and now I accidentally closed it. Oh yeah, found it again. I wrote, a beaten down Shota Umino is crawling over to the shreds of the title belts he was gifted by his supporters, and he's trying to gather them in his hands, which is a really nice shot, as if he's trying to gather the broken pieces of his dreams.
Yes.
It's kind of perfect, and I know I tweeted this, and like the first tweet I got was like, yeah, but the crowd was booing him, and the ace thing is not working. And I was like, I just said a nice thing about a shot I liked.
Yeah.
My bad, I guess.
No, well, yeah. This is the thing. It's like, can't say anything about Shota at the minute.
I can't say anything semi-positive. I wasn't even saying Shota Umino good. I was saying, that was a nice shot. Like, nice camera placement. Not even that is allowed.
No, it's exhausting, to be honest with you.
I do think it's interesting that we're getting Shota versus Gredo Khan.
Yeah.
I think that's dangerous for New Japan. Because out of United Empire, I would say Gredo Khan is the most popular one.
Yeah,
and you're putting him. So you're putting him up against another guy who is a secret crowd favorite. Are they once again putting Shota in a position where he's likely to get booed?
Yeah.
Because you could have put him against Cobb.
Yeah. Or the sensible thing to do was borrow Wheeler Yuta for a month and run him in tag match.
I'm assuming that's where it's going to go, but
yeah. So it's like, do that. You can't have Claudio. Claudio's got too much arm and he's doing too much stuff in AEW. Fair enough. Wheeler,
and he already lost.
Yeah, and so get Wheeler over here. You can lose him for a month. I don't think he's going to have too much of an issue with that. He did it for Best of Super Juniors, didn't he? So why not?
Yeah, I hope it's just a placeholder because they couldn't have any of the AEW guys here.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yes. Anywho, shall we move on? Are we good?
Yes, let's move on.
House of Touch, Ren Narita Show, Yoshinori Kanemaru, and Yujiro Takahashi defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tiger Mask, Togi Makabe, and Toriano in 7 minutes and 47 seconds. After the match, Ren and Show stole 2 of the Never Openweight 6-man tag team belts, as House of Touch will do. The big come out of this match is Evil has decided he is done with New Japan Pro Wrestling, has no interest in working for them anymore, and will not be appearing. So kind of Show is being the mouthpiece in the meantime. And that Togi Makabe challenged Hiroshi Tanahashi for new beginnings in Osaka after this match, saying, why don't we start again from the beginning? If you're starting your last year of your career, let's start at the beginning of your career. And I was the first person to wrestle you. And Tanahashi was like, that's right. So I think we'll have a friendly sporting affair where they knock each other's heads off for 20 minutes. Which is then friends being friendly in New Japan.
Yes. Yeah.
I love you. Please allow me to...
If you don't hit me hard enough, you clearly don't like me.
No, that's it. Yes, it's going to be horrific but beautiful at the same time. So there's a lot going on here, really. Usual shenanigans. Inoffensive, I feel. What did you think of this one?
Well, I don't think the match itself was the most interesting thing about this match, to be honest. I think everything surrounding it, like Evil and Makabe and the title challenge, I think that's where it's at. Evil, I find a very curious situation because I don't think he's leaving. I think it's a work. However, there is a small section of the Japanese fan base that is like, well, that would make sense because his girlfriend is in the United States.
Oh.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
It's Miss Shirai, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
So
month with the missus, as it were.
Yeah.
Mm.
So going to the United States. However, look, this I might be completely wrong, but my reasoning is like New Japan is going to not let Evil go quite as easily as they might let some others go.
Yeah.
He has a long history, especially with Tanahashi. He is one of the few heels they have. He is, I wouldn't say credible main eventer, but you can put him in the main event if you need some. You can trust him, right?
Yeah. He's a good utility wrestler in general. And
yes.
They've not got a lot of them, to be honest.
And he's got experience. And he is, I think, a guy you can eventually turn face and have him be very popular. If you look at how popular House of Torture is and how popular LIJ Evil used to be. On the other hand, I don't think he is as interesting to WWE or AEW as some of the other guys in New Japan.
No. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously going to have an in with AEW. There's ready-made storylines for him there.
Yes, but his girlfriend is in WWE. And is AEW going to bring over a wrestler who is, by a lot of their audience, hated because House of Torture sucks and Evil is boring?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, we don't know. I can't imagine Evil being in NXT though. It's like a waste of his talent.
But like, why would WWE want him?
Yeah, like, he's not.
Without, like, I love Evil, I like him in this role. I think he's great in this role. But what is the interest for WWE?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I can't see him fitting anywhere else in Japan because he's too much of a New Japan product. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, and why would he leave? Like, it's clear he's got a job for life. Yeah.
So, anyway.
So,
but we're assuming it's a storyline at this particular point anyway.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to see if this is the change in House of Torture that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Because if you change Evil, you change everything that House of Torture is about. And I don't think Ren is necessarily ready to lead.
No.
So I think the obvious conclusion, if something changes about Evil, then House of Torture needs to change.
Yeah.
And if you do want that face turn, right? You this is a time to do it. Like Evil realizes I couldn't do it. I couldn't beat Tanahashi. I had to shave part of my head or whatever if he's even going to do that. And like, what if he's gone for 2 months and by the time he's back, another team has gone heel? Let's say a TMDK because Zack lost his title or whatever.
Yeah, there's things that could happen, and the commentary was already portraying Evil as a loser.
Yeah,
like,
and Tanahashi was doing the same, and at the same time, he and Sho are still resting on Sumi Sakai's retirement show. So he's not like, I am done with this life, off to the United States with me for the rest of my life.
No,
he's still involved with New Japan talent. So
yes. Yeah, I mean, there's harder life than retiring to Florida with Io Shirai.
There is, and like I would get it. I just don't see that there would be much of an interest. And this is coming from one of the biggest Evil fans out there. Like, I think he's a very New Japan talent that doesn't translate well to American markets.
Or even other Japanese companies, to be, unless he reinvents himself entirely. So we'll have to see, won't we? That one was the odd one. Of all the other stuff I can see was like everything else makes sense, whereas that one's a bit. We've got to wait and see. Suck it and see on that.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's why they intentionally talked about him leaving.
Yeah,
because they were like, well, we're gonna have him go away for a bit, but we don't have anything to set up yet, so let's just be vague about it.
Yeah, we put some doubt in the mind of House of Torture, and you've got stuff to come back to, haven't you, later on? So that's good. All right then, shall we move on?
Yes.
Clark Connors and Sanada defeated just 4 guys. Sad time. Tai Chi and Taka Michinoku in 9 minutes and 23 seconds. This was obviously all about Sanada and Tai Chi. Taka and Clark Connors were along for the ride, bless them. They had no reason to be there. This was a singles match with 2 other guys who happened to be kicking around. And what was odd was the post-match promo. Clark Connors had to do it by himself because Sanada just kind of stomped off. And Connors was like, well, I've already wrestled Tai Chi and I need something else to do. And that was kind of vague as well. But obviously, Sanada and Tai Chi is the next big thing. Has that been booked for Osaka yet? I'm going to look it up. It has. Yes. It's been booked for New Beginnings in Osaka. They have loaded up that card. They haven't spread it out through the entire like New Japan New Beginnings series. They're going all in on the first show.
Yeah, I like the who was it? John, I think.
Yes, John
talks about Goto getting all the numbers. I like that.
Yeah.
That's all on Goto.
There's they've sold it out already. In a day.
Goto Mania.
Goto challenging against Zack Sabre Jr. for the tag team championships. So yeah.
The tag team?
Not tag team, world championships. It's because I'm used to Hiroki Goto being a tag team wrestler is the reason why.
Yoshi's like, oh yeah, I'll be part. Yeah, sure.
I'm just trying to find the card list because everything's about Battle in the Valley at the weekend. So I can't find the bit I'm looking for. But yeah. Oh, here we go. New Beginnings.
Yoshihashi Oiwa as well.
Yeah, and Baraki and Yo versus TMDK.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about those as we get to them. What did you think of this matchup? Spoilers.
Well, Sanada and Clark Connors work out right, and I'm like, this is so weird.
Oh God, yeah.
This is not a team I'd ever expected to see.
No.
And for some reason, I could kind of see Sanada Driller.
Yeah.
But Clark Connors
Junior and
I was like, weird. TJP joined commentary here, which was
this is where I switched over to the Japanese commentary because I'm not having Chris Charlton replaced by TJP. That's just fucking offensive. So you can't torture me that way.
Yeah. And then the choking bit I thought was nice because you could definitely not tell that he was choking Taka with something, which I thought was a nice.
Yeah.
nice part of it. Like the referee, I could tell the referee was trying to look for a bit that he could see, because the joking lasted a bit too long. And I was like, this is taking quite a bit, because the referee was like, I can't actually see anything, and I know it's there, but I can't go off of something I can't see, because then people are like, this is fake. Until he physically turned Sonata around a bit, and then you could see, oh, there's a, what was it, chain or whatever there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cute. That was basically it. There wasn't much to this. Taichi was getting a big fan reaction though, which you could have expected from the get-go already.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I am glad we're getting this match. I do kind of feel bad that it's kind of been pushed to the back, and it felt very much tense before Wrestle Kingdom, and now it's kind of the back of my mind kind of situation. So I hope they ramp it up a bit more.
I have a feeling this could be the thing that leads to the thing rather than the thing, if you see what I mean. Like this is going into cage match kind of territory, so we could have that again. If they're kind of like, and it was kind of, it's the only feud you've got going which is really personal.
Yeah, but I still feel like Yuya is where Sonata eventually goes.
He is, but he's going to. In my head, he has to beat Taichi, but
So I feel like he's going to beat Taichi at New Beginnings.
Yeah, but he may lose he may win in a manner that is not double pin or heavy interference. That is an unsatisfactory victory. And then they have to take it to a cage match at the end of the New Beginnings tour, which would be kind of what they did with War Dogs and Empire last year. So I think it would be interesting to do it that way if they were going to do it that way. But it feels like this is not a one and done. This is a someone's got to die kind of feud, if it makes sense. Not literally, obviously, that would be wrong, but certainly deathmatch type kind of thing. As much deathmatchy as New Japan can go. Having said that, they kind of pushed the boundaries quite a lot of the weekend. So, but yeah. Any other comments?
No, that was it.
Okay. Next up was, to be honest with you, if this was a Japanese indie promotion, this would be an absolute dream match, which would be on top of the card. And it wasn't. It was halfway down. It's like, this could be so great. And just if you give it 10 more minutes, they'd tear the house down. But no. El Desperado and Kushida defeated Kenta and Taiji Ishimori 9 minutes and 23 seconds. This was an interesting match from a couple of reasons. First of all, Kushida submitted Kenta. A junior heavyweight submitting a heavyweight is intense for the heavyweight. They're pushing Kushida into the open weight division. He has an open weight challenge, doesn't he? I think Gabe Kidd at the weekend for battling Takeshita at Battle in the Valley, not Gabe Kidd, sorry, for the Never Openweight Championship. And Kushida's wanted to wrestle heavyweight forever. It's one of the reasons why he left for WWE in the first place. Kenta announced this as his last match for New Japan. He's leaving. He's off to Noah.
Did he officially? Did he?
He has, yeah. That the finger heart with his favorite cameraman was the last one.
Yeah, I know we all assume that means he's going to know, but he didn't officially say it, right?
No,
it just
no. We're making assumptions that his love story
I was like, did I miss it? Like, no. Why are we all? Oh, this is probably what's happening. If he said it, no, never mind.
No, but yeah, his love story with Keno is ongoing because he's the hard man to get rid of. Because Keno, ask Aoki. So we'll see if he ever comes back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. But I think Jake Lee for Kenta is a fair swap. To be honest with you, it seems reasonable to me. The big kind of rivalry of this is Taiji Ishimori and El Desperado, which has also been announced for New Beginnings in Osaka after the match I hated the most over the weekend, which was the Lucha Gauntlet, because it was stupid.
Out of the three I watched, I like that one the best.
It's the worst match format you can. I did said this yesterday, but it's like, so if
I listened, I watched, I listened to the show. I know what you said.
Yeah, but, so the listeners may not. But yes, and like Gauntlet, like if the first two wrestlers pin each other, then the other six wrestlers can't go out. That makes no sense. But anyway.
Yeah, but we're suspending our disbelief on Evil versus Tanahashi too. Like it's just that.
It's not. No, it's a step too far. It has to be a reasonable conceit.
I mean, I would say that it's more logical that someone pins someone before 3 or guys walk out or something than Tanahashi losing on the fourth match of a Wrestle Kingdom he wasn't supposed to end his career on. Like, let's be honest.
No, but the jeopardy of that is what sells the match, where there is no jeopardy in this match because it's just we've got to wait till everyone gets into it.
There's no jeopardy in Tanahashi versus Evil. There wasn't.
No, we and you know that, but they're not. But yeah, but that's still in the conceit of a regular wrestling match. I think it was kind of done well and overplayed. Yes, you were right, but I don't think that was as bad as having a match where we have to wait for everybody to be in before we can have a finish.
We don't though, because like if we're saying the conceit of Tanahashi Evil is that he could actually lose, then the conceit of that match we're talking about could be that it's over within 2 minutes.
But it never is. It's the same as the War Games. The same as the War Games match. You're not allowed to have a decision in a War Games match until everyone's in the ring. What if somebody's injured?
I know, but the same can be said about Evil Tanahashi. So if one is too much, then so should the other.
And the Evil Tanahashi one, I think, is more realistic because Tanahashi could have lost that match and therefore would have had to resign, and everyone would have been sad.
No, he couldn't have. You're. There's no way, James. There's no way.
No, but that's the basic mechanics of the match were unaffected by the stipulation, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but this first one wasn't either. That's because because of outside knowledge that there's going to be 8 people in that match. But it could have ended after 2.
It could have done, but it never
just
does.
As in kayfabe, Evil could have beaten Tana.
No, just doesn't make any sense. Just have a battle royal instead. It makes more sense. Anyway, sorry, you're not going to persuade me on this. It's just dumb. and I like big dumb wrestling.
I just think both are in kayfabe sensible things, but outside of kayfabe, really, really dumb.
I think the first one in kayfabe is dumb, but yeah.
Sorry, I
think that the Lucha Gauntlet is dumb in kayfabe and outside of kayfabe as well. Just me.
Why?
Because I suppose what you're saying to an extent, but equally it just doesn't make any sense. And especially when AEW do it, because it's 30 people, and that's just.
Yeah, but then it's a case of luck. If the first one's out, then you have to end the match there.
Yeah.
It's a case of luck and skill to pin someone before the rest comes out.
Anywho. Let's get back to the match. We must agree to disagree, and we shall move on. Other notes from this particular match: Kushida, submitting Kenta is one thing. The match ended. Ishimori and Desperado had a face-off, and Ishimori challenged for the Junior Heavyweight Championship, which will happen in Osaka at the beginnings. And brilliantly, they played Kushida's music.
It happened at the American show.
No, he's is it? Hang on. Yeah, with the American show, that's right. You are correct. Yes. Looking up here. Yes, it's at Battle of the Valley this weekend. Yes, it is. Brilliantly, Desperado. They played Kushida's music when they won the match, and then Desperado was after the interview, they played Desperado's music. Went, well, hang on. I didn't win this match. He did. Play his music. So they played Kushida's music to finish the show out. And then Kushida and Desperado had an argument afterwards when Despy wouldn't shake his hand for whatever reason. But Despy is grumpy at the moment.
Well, I have a theory why Despy's kind of grumpy with Kushida.
Why is Despy grumpy with Kushida?
You don't know the romantic history of a certain El Desperado.
Well, yes, yeah, I know that. But
Kushida is one of the guys he openly crushed on, to the point he was talking about it in blog posts and stuff. I have fallen in love with you and stuff like that. And
he bought him a rose and everything.
No, that was Ibushi.
It was Ibushi, wasn't it? Yeah, my fault. No, yes.
But
I thought he buy him a rose at some point.
I'm sure
everybody
he
grows
has.
his dough then. Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
I remember at that time asking a Japanese fan, like, is the Google translation correct? Like, this is basically a love declaration. Holy
That's the
shit.
one. There you
Love
Declaration.
I know. An admission of affection.
Yes.
And they were like, yes, that's actually what it says. It is basically him saying, I love you. And I like even going to the point where I didn't know what it was at first, but then I realized that it was love, and I was into you. I was like, okay, sir. So my theory is he's just still kind of pissed that Kushida didn't even bother to acknowledge the very clear crush he had on him. Kushida is too straight for this shit. Like he never even noticed.
Absolutely oblivious. No, he's off and done. Yeah. Well, Despy's been grumpy since he got pinned by Ishimori at the end of that match on Sunday, and said he doesn't trust anyone, and Wato, you still suck. So we'll see what happens here. But I suppose they've got to come up with something because their plans have been torn asunder for what's going to happen. So I don't think it's Desperado as a heel turn yet. It's more Desperado as kind of just pissed.
No, I don't think Wato Despy is going to be heel turn Despy. I think Wato just needs to get Desperado's respect. I think that's a respect match, not a heel versus face match.
No, but we're a while away from that yet because Wato's tied up elsewhere. So yeah, shall we move on?
Can I talk about the match?
Oh, sorry, I forgot you mentioned talking about that. You were talking an awful lot about this match, so my apologies. I
kind of followed your tangents and was like, oh, this and that and that. I had to laugh that Kushida beats Kenta, and it's like, just as Kenta's probably about to leave for Noah, New Japan is like, yes, you can beat a heavyweight, but it'll have to be this specific heavyweight.
This one we have ignored and downtrodden for the last 3 years and sent him to Defy to get stuff done because we don't got anything for him to do.
Oh yeah. Yes. And as we have the team of Taiji Ishimori and Kenta here, I feel like we need to talk about Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Because it's basically done.
Yeah. Chase wasn't on these last 2 shows.
Chase is the only active New Japan Bullet Club member left.
Yes, Robbie X is still in Bullet Club, but he's not a New Japan.
Yeah, but he never officially got signed, right?
No, but he is selling a shitload of Bullet Club T-shirts in car parks across the country. So I'm assuming they're letting him.
But I'm specifically talking about New Japan because I'm sure you could still consider Bad Luck Fale Bullet Club or whatever.
But they're a sub faction like House of Torture, yes. In the lore of New Japan Pro Wrestling,
but if we're talking about New Japan specifically, then there's only currently one Bullet Club member left.
Yeah.
Chase Owens.
Yeah.
Because Kenta, we think, is off to Noah, and Taiji Ishimori in a backstage comment says, "I am War Dogs."
Yeah.
So I talked to James about this before we recorded, and I was very excited about this news because it meant no Chase Owens.
Yes.
However, commentary mentioned that Chase Owens was somewhere in Japan right now, which had me not only just he's in Japan, fuck, that might mean he'll show up, but also that they're specifically mentioning him.
Yes.
So that means he's still part of everything.
Yes. Unless he's recruiting for new members for a separate Bullet Club.
I'm just more worried that he's going to show up in War Dogs or something.
Unlikely, because Gabe can't stand him. Even in kayfabe,
I know,
Gabe doesn't like
where
him.
Where else would you put him? United Empire?
No. He won't fit there. He doesn't fit anywhere except Bullet Club.
Well, he's a scumbag, so he fits in United Empire.
It's just United Empire, but I suppose he fits in House of Torture because he is a scumbag as well. So he could go there.
I feel like
but House of Torture has always been a Japanese faction within. Yeah. So, unless it depends on what they want to do with him, doesn't it? Really, I mean, he's probably got a good kind of head for training, because he does, when you listen to his commentary, he's kind of passionate about wrestling, and I suppose if you stick him in the dojo, he's going to fulfill contracts. So.
Let's not give him any kind of position of power over anyone.
Yeah, but what else are you going to do with him if they want to keep him under contract because they seem to like him? Then they'll find stuff for him to do, won't they?
So, I mean, I can see it, just as I had to watch him still be employed for years.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if I were them, I wouldn't trust that fucker. So
no. Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like, I don't know what they're doing with him.
I'm just concerned because they specifically mentioned him.
Well, yeah, because they're still employed by them. So
yeah, but like, he could be employed and never mentioned on.
No.
Like, if he is the trainer, then he doesn't need to be mentioned.
No.
But he is in Japan.
In fact, yeah, and if he's going to be a trainer when all the other baby faces are trainers as well, then you don't mention that, do you? You just, because that's not what a heel does. A heel wouldn't be helping the next generation of New Japan guys go forward. So they wouldn't have mentioned it.
Like, we don't know all the trainers, and they don't regularly get mentioned on commentary anyway.
No, I mean, he could be producing as well. He could be like just producing matches for them too. There's things that he could be doing, but I don't understand. The only reason why they mention him is if there's a storyline to come.
Yes, and that has me concerned, because I'm like, I don't see an obvious way for this to go, because Bullet Club is done.
Yeah.
Basically. Especially if you have Taiji going, I am War Dogs now.
Yeah.
So where do you put him? And I'm just very concerned they're either going to try turning him face, and he ends up in Honsai, or they're going to add him to War Dogs or whatever, and I'm going to have to suffer through Chase Owens barking at the camera.
No, I don't think so. Send him down to Farley. They'd use him down there, wouldn't they?
Yes, please. So, bye-bye.
Yeah. That's it. Or either he's going to Noah Weekend. So, but yeah.
I've been saying that, but then I always feel bad about Noah. Like, no, I don't deserve Chase Owens.
He got his head kicked in, so it's fine. And yeah, and then there might be issues down there as well, because they're doing a lot of work at WWE too. So the New Japan guy contract to get to WWE wrestlers is a bit weird. Whereas Kenta's status is a bit more fluid, I feel. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Any other thoughts?
No, that was it.
Okay, then. Los Ignorables de Japón, Bushi, Shingo Takagi, Titan, and Yota Tsuji defeated Bullet Club War Dogs, David Finlay, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, and Gedo. Titan was the only non-New Japan guy on this show, but obviously he's kind of half New Japan, half CMLL. So this was intriguing. The fallout from this match is obviously Yota Tsuji and David Finlay were keen on each other, but Gabe Kidd is the one that is settled on Yota Tsuji. They're the one that was staring down. So Gabe Kidd will be challenging for the Global Heavyweight Championship at New Beginnings. Drilla Maloney had an interest in Shingo Takagi and maybe moving up to heavyweight, judging by his words, which would make sense if Taiji Shimura is going to War Dogs. That means he's liable to be Clark Connors' partner, say, come for the next War Dogs kind of run, and then Drilla can move up to heavyweight, which makes sense, I guess. But kind of the point of Drilla was he was a heavyweight in a juniors division, so it was like, that's cool. I like Drilla, don't get me wrong. He's cool, but it is just like, so you've taken the point of Drilla away. But there you go. So what do you think of this one?
I don't like heavyweight Drilla.
No.
I have the same issue with heavyweight Drilla as I do with the hypothetical heavyweight Desperado, is that you take away what's special about him in this division.
Yeah.
You take away his ability to bully everyone, to be bigger and stronger and more imposing than everyone. And then you put him in a division where he's going to look smallish. And he can't do that as much because he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest. I get that there's a lot of interesting matches to be had. Like, sure, Shingo versus Drilla sounds good. But again, I would prefer that to be an open weight situation. And I see a lot of juniors existing in open weight / heavyweight spaces right now. Hiromu, Despi, Drilla, Kushida.
Yeah.
It's like they're all. It's like New Japan is getting a little antsy, and they're like, we're gonna try this.
It's not gone well before. In the sense of the only kind of historical parable you have with it is Jushin Liger, who went heavyweight in 2002 when Masahiro Chono was booking, and it died a death. And as we've said before, if the greatest junior heavyweight who ever lived can't make it work, who else can? I mean, there are people who've moved up. Fujinami moved up, but it was like he put on 40 pounds to move up. So,
yeah, my hope is that it's a case of them going open weight just so they can have interesting matches to like fill up parts of the card or to back up some unproven main eventers.
yeah,
like putting Hiromu Naito as the semi-main event, right? For Shota Zack. I could see that, and I don't mind that, but them actually going heavyweight, just if we've had this discussion before.
Yeah, I mean, there is sorry to interrupt, Karen.
I could see Drilla going heavyweight because they want to put him with Gabe, though.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like Sonata Gabe is a set tag team, and I think Sonata is going to be focused on singles stuff, Taichi Yuya eventually. So, and I don't think Jake Lee is going to be back anytime soon. So I could see why they want Drilla as Gabe's partner.
Yeah,
especially if you're going to work towards the breaking apart of the War Dogs.
And also, if Drilla does take off, you've tried it, haven't you? I doubt it will. I think your issue. I think the same thing you said. The issue Drilla had before working British Indies was too big to be a heavyweight, too small to be heavyweight, too big to be a junior. Whereas in Japan, he could get slim down to be a junior, and it made more sense. So yeah. But yes. What's your thoughts on Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji for Osaka?
I still feel the same way about Gabe Kidd that I did before. Like, I want to like him. It's just that he as a person is not someone I like because of how shit he's done. And him as a character makes me nervous. And him as a wrestler makes me nervous. Like, the whole Chris Charlton situation, like, if people had watched Gabe's promo, we could be having the same issues about Gabe.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm constantly feeling that way. And I know a lot of people enjoy that about Gabe. Like, any second he can go off, but I don't. I find that nerve-wracking. I'm like, he's going to say something shitty and there's going to be drama. While at the same time, he's one of the most interesting characters for me. So that's forever the push and pull of, I like him as a character, but he worries me and I don't like him as a person. So it's Tsuji, on the other hand, I'm cool with, and it's going to be a great match. They're going to show a lot of fire and it's going to be heavy and shit. It's all fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to put you in a difficult position, but
no, and it's just it's been an interesting couple of days because Gabe Kidd has gotten all the praise, and understandably so. Like, by all accounts, it's been an amazing match, and he's put in a lot of effort, and I can acknowledge that he's definitely doing it for New Japan, and he's a great wrestler, right?
Yeah.
But when I am reminded of the shit he's said, I'm like, oh, I don't quite enjoy seeing all the mindless praise towards him. And that sets opposite to me being a Shota Umino fan. which kind of makes this awkward.
Yeah.
And which means I won't be talking about any dislike towards Gabe Kidd on any social media, because I know how that's going to go. Or you're just jealous. Oh, you're a Shota fan, like Yoda takes
Yes.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. It's just different tastes for different people, and my taste is apparently very uncommon. Like,
No, I completely get where you're coming from. I love Gabe as a wrestler and as a character, but his personality is not great. Seems to have done a lot growing up, but equally, he still said a lot of things he hadn't apologized for. So
yeah, and now we're getting to the point where he's getting the push that he wants and thinks he deserves, and 90% of the fandom is behind him.
Yes, and don't remember the things that were said before.
And
it's the Will Ospreay situation. He's not
Yeah.
Gabe has not tried to manipulate people, shut down people out of the business, or do as many things as Will has done. But there's still shitty things he said in the past that he's not really atoned for.
Yeah, and wrestling is not known for having a lot of people who handle fame really well.
Yeah.
And he has a personality that kind of makes me worried about such obvious idolation.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yeah, no. If you a person with history of mental health issues gets put in a position of major responsibility and fame, you do worry for him, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't necessarily that what I was talking about. More that I feel like he is very full of himself.
Yeah.
So thousands upon thousands of people telling him, yes, you are that good, and you need to continue with what you're doing, and please escalate what you're doing, kind of makes me a little nervous.
I can understand what you're saying, but equally that's all pro wrestlers as well.
Yeah, that's why I said pro wrestlers are not known for handling this well.
No, true. There's been a general rule of thumb in the past that the heels were actually usually the nicer people because they don't believe their own shit.
Okay, but we know that's not the case for Gabe.
But Gabe isn't a heel anymore. It really. But yeah. Anyway, but yes, yeah, I understand where you're coming from for sure, definitely. But I also concerned about the fact that I had prior mental health issues and he's got an awful lot of responsibility now. And he seems to be handling it from that point of view okay. But whether he continues to handle it okay, I don't know. We shall see.
We'll see. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it too often because
it sounds like a broken record if we keep bringing it up, I suppose. Yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about Gabe's issues that much, but yeah.
No. There are cases specifically in Japan of wrestlers who have literally gone off the deep end because of that kind of pressure and because of the way they are treated. And without naming names, I won't mention people's, but you can go find out stories about guys who were famous and big stars who just couldn't cope with it. And and especially not to knock Japanese structures and hierarchies, but because of the way that their society is set up, and specifically the way professional wrestling is set up, it makes it really easy to abuse that system, or for the system to inadvertently abuse you. So yeah, which is the thing we have to. It's this constant struggle because there's no such thing as being an ethical wrestling fan. There just isn't. And these are the conversations we have a lot on the Trupany show. Because there's that struggle there. We're watching people who hurt themselves for a living for our entertainment. You can't get away from that. And that manifests itself in many different ways. Sorry to be a little bit negative today. Let's just talk about joyous things, shall we? I mean, it's got Raisuke Taguchi in it, but, reasonably joyous things. Los Ignorables de Japón. Hiromu Takahashi, Tetsuya Naito defeated Funky Sauce, Alex Zane, and Raisuke Taguchi in 8 minutes and 30 seconds, apparently to make themselves the number one contenders to the IWGP Tag Team Championships, because there's only been one tag match since they went, we're number one! And then they promptly challenged the Young Bucks at New Beginnings for the Tag Team Championships. The Bucks will be back before the end of the month, which means at least they're defending them on the shows. which was our complaint about prior AEW visitors.
A show.
A show. At least they get into a show. Or whether they do the house show circuit, I'm not sure, but certainly a show. 8 minutes and 36 seconds. This was kind of fun, as you'd expect it to be, really. Well, particularly tear Freeze up, but it did the job. What did you think of this one?
I liked this because it kind of seemed like the theme was red and no one told Taguchi. Which is a running theme for Taguchi. He always ends up in a match with a lot of red people, and then him
Wears
in green.
The wrong color.
Yeah. Zayn is apparently still not signed, which kind of surprises me. But I guess there's a reason for it.
Well, bear in mind, like, Tangaloa was a 3-time IWGP World Tag Team Champion before he got signed. You have to do a long kind of apprenticeship.
Yeah, I feel like Tangaloa was never going to go anywhere because he had his family there. And I feel like Alex Zane could very easily go somewhere else. So I would be like, if I were in New Japan, I'd sign him just so he wouldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay, so and we had some nice teamwork from Zayn and Taguchi, which is reminiscent of their tag league exploits. And there was a bit of a Hiromu Taguchi interaction, which brought back a lot of memories. I have to say, of one of the first feuds I saw when I started watching New Japan, which was Hiromu and Taguchi, which got very weird.
Well, yeah.
We're going to be talking about a certain angle in the next match, but this was quite similar to that. Just one side wasn't into it. This was to set the stage for people. Hiromu's champion, right? And he's basically flirting with every cute guy he feuds with. And he starts feuding with Taguchi, and Taguchi is like, yes, this is my moment. I've been waiting for this. Come on, Hiromu. And Hiromu's weirded out by him. Like Hiromu
because it's Taguchi.
Hiromu does not want Taguchi. He backs away constantly. He's like trying to avoid him. And this is where my assumption about Hiromu is that he likes to chase, but he doesn't like it when people actually like him back.
Yes.
Comes from is that the one guy who openly liked him back had Hiromu like freaking out. He didn't know what to do with it because he wasn't expecting to be liked back. So yeah, it's just seeing them brought back a lot of memories. Not all of them good, but you know, it's a Taguchi. It's a Taguchi feud. So.
You take what you can with Taguchi.
Yeah, you take the bad with some of the good.
But yeah, so that leaves us to our main event. Chaos versus TMDK. Hiroki Goto, Rocky Romero, Yo and Yoshihashi going up against Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Ryo Owa, and Zack Sabre Jr. This felt like the old days of Chaos. You've got Goto rolling in as the number one contender to the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Rocky Romero and Yo as the number one contenders to the Junior Heavyweight Championships, and Yoshihashi, Ichiban Sweet Boy himself. There was a roar for him. This felt like 2017 Chaos coming to take business, and they went up against TMDK, Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles, Ryo Owa, and Zack Sabre Jr. on a run right now, top of the world. This was kind of what we like New Japan Pro Wrestling to be. Two babyface squadrons backing each other down. The obvious things that come out of this match is obviously Goto and Zack Sabre Jr. That's been signed for Osaka. Fujita and Eagles versus Yo and Rocky Romero, also signed for Osaka. And Yoshihashi and Ryo Owa writing their own story, because Yoshihashi clearly does not like Ryo Owa one bit. Because he stood there and took some exceptionally stiff chops and no-sold him for 10 minutes and then just demolished Owa in return. This is going to be an interesting couple of months. What's your thoughts on this match? Because this was an incredible blow-off to a fun evening's wrestling.
This match is everything I like. Hiroki Goto challenging in the future for the main title, getting his just rewards, well, kind of getting the attention he deserves. Yoshihashi chopping people and making them bleed, and romance. Like, what else would you want out of your
Yes.
New Year's Dash main event?
Yes.
I have a lot of notes for this match, so I would just like to get ready. The first one is kind of a sad one, because this is the match where I realized I'm either getting champion Goto or a hypothetical Zack Sabre Jr. versus Desperado. I can't have both.
Yeah. No.
And
Yeah.
just thinking about that, it made me so sad, because I was like, no, wait, hold on. No, that's not fair. You can't make me choose.
Yeah. This is the thing. You unfortunately don't book around your personal issues.
I've been waiting years to get Desperado versus Zack. Like, ever since they joined Suzuki-gun together, well, Zack joined Suzuki-gun, I was like, oh, look at how close they are. Look at how much fun they're having. Oh, they would be great together. Like, talk about flexibility and submissions. Like, Desperado can probably match Zack if he wanted to. He just doesn't get to wrestle like that a lot. And we've seen some of the tag matches where they interacted, and you could tell they are having a ball and really wants to go all out. So I was like, oh my god, what if they're both champion at the anniversary? And we get...
Yes. We should explain that for the new fans who've not listened to us before or even watched New Japan so strongly. We should do a walk us through it and explain. At the anniversary show, traditionally, the heavyweight champion has wrestled the junior heavyweight champion, as they are the two oldest titles in New Japan. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
Yes. So if things stay the way they are now, that would be Zack Sabre Jr. versus El Desperado. However, the next challenger for Zack's title is Hiroki Goto. And if there's anything that can surpass my want of Desperado and Zack in a singles match, it's Hiroki Goto finally winning the big one. So I can't have both. I have to hypothetically root for one over the other, and it's killing me inside. And I'm sure that's why Ghetto is doing it. Just to be extra annoying.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you might get what you want, but you will lose the other option you really wanted. So, haha. Yeah. Anyway, rest of the match. Chaos was getting shit done here, and I've kind of been curious why they kept Chaos the way they were, but when they were kind of floating in mid-air, like not really a faction upon themselves anymore, because they were constantly teaming with Hontai. And now just seeing them like this and seeing all the fire in them, like Goto and Yoshihashi were going off, and then you had Yo putting all sorts of effort in, but we'll get to that bit. And just seeing Rocky Romero back, like, I'm not huge on Rocky, but he is Chaos, and he is part of a lot of memories of mine of Chaos. So it was kind of nice to see that. And they're like the stalwarts of New Japan rallying against this faction who has decided that they're going to be the new ones to rule New Japan. And they're like, hold on, you're like all younger than we are. Like Zack Sabre Jr. is younger than Goto, right? Oiwa is younger than Yoshihashi. Fujita is younger than Yo. Like, every person they're rivaling right there is younger. I don't know about Robbie and Rocky, but they're kind of, sorry to say this, spares in this situation.
Right, yeah, Rocky is 42 and Robbie is 34, so yes.
Yes. So in everything, Chaos is senior. And they were like, we're going to show you. And they did. And then there was, first, before I get to Yo, there was a funny bit where Walker mentions Fujita, right? And that Fujita is now the youngest junior champion of all time in New Japan. And he was like hyping up Fujita and all these achievements at a very young age. And then TJP pipes up with, well, I know all about hardships at a young age. And I was like, this wasn't about you, TJ. Like, you were talking about Kosei Fujita. No, we do not care about the hardships you went through as a young guy. We were talking about someone else. Please, shut up.
And this is why I listen to the Japanese commentary, which had Hiroyoshi Tenzan on it, which was cool.
Oh, that was
It was
nice.
cool. He's good on commentary. He's nice. He's got such a deep, gravelly voice. Just like, oh. It's like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. 2 more bits. One, Zack at the very end. Like, we're at the point where, except for Fujita and Yo, who are like lounging in the ring, everyone's fighting, and Yoshihashi and Oiwa are chopping the shit out of each other's shit. Oiwa's bleeding. It's gruesome, and I think it was Daiki Nagai starts pulling Oiwa back, and Zack Sabre Jr., shit stirrer that he is like, I'm gonna pull Nagai away from him so Oiwa can go back to slapping Yoshihashi. And I was like, that's so Zack. He's like, I'm gonna do a funny. I'm just gonna like trip up Daiki Nagai so Oiwa can run at Yoshihashi again. And it made me laugh because that's Zack. He's a bit of a dick. That he doesn't have to do that, but because it's funny, it's like, I'm gonna do it. Let go, Oiwa, go. And then finally, I know this match is supposed to be like about Goto and Zack, but it was mostly about Yo for me. Like, this storyline, Yo is there, right, with all his wrestle dads. Like, Goto and Yoshihashi, who would always take him everywhere. Like, there was a clear subsection in Chaos who would go with whom.
Yeah.
You had like Okada and Sho and Ospreay, and then on the other side you had Goto, Yoshihashi, Ishii, and Yo, and they would be like in Ishii's blog all the time. I remembered when I used to follow that blog religiously. They would always go to bars together and go to restaurants and stuff like that. So Yo is kind of like their son. And of course, Rocky Romero is kind of like a father figure to Yo, like he's the senior, the
former manager, and
and then you've got Fujita, the 22-year-old Fujita, basically like flirting with Yo in front of all these dads, while they're looking to see if he's a worthy son-in-law or whatever. And it's just, I don't know why they're doing it, but I'm so into it. I feel like Fujita was like, oh, I'm a confident young man. I am part of TMDK. We kiss each other all the time. And it was like, yeah, sure, I'll go with the kissing.
Yeah.
And it was to the point where when everyone else was fighting, they were sitting next to each other on the ring ropes, watching all the fighting, while Fujita held an ice pack to Yo's knee. I was like, what kind of workplace romance situation is this? Like, what the
just having a
hell is going on
chat.
here?
With mates. It's all right. It's just having to talk about stuff. It's fine. We're allowed.
Mates? They're kissing, James.
Okay, sorry, it's just a bit more than mates, but it's fine.
And Walker talks about how Yo's a pervert, and I'm like, how is Yo a pervert? He's just like being flirty and kissing a guy who's clearly into it. Like, how is that being a pervert? I don't get it.
No, that's just being a bit gay. Like, Daisaki Dino, he's a pervert. This is the whole thing. He's quite happy to be Saito from Male Japan. He's a pervert too. Quite happy to be perverts. They're fine. They're all right. A bit pervy. That's okay. Yeah, this isn't. This is just, two young men finding each other. There you
go. Yeah, Yo is just a bit out there, and he's not afraid to do shit. And Fujita was like, well, he's pretty and kissing is fun, so I guess. And that's what. And then the crowd like cheered every time they so much as looked at each other. And they were like, well, that sounds good. Let's continue.
Yeah, because they will do, because that's the thing. And there is an entire subsection of wrestling, of Japanese culture about boys, essentially.
Boys love. Yes.
Boys love. So yes, it plays to a certain part of the female audience.
It's not something I expected from 2025.
No.
Happy it's here though. I still stand.
This is
Sorry,
the thing as well. I was going to say, it's like a bunch of AEW fans would no, okay, this is all absolute. Why are they doing this? They're supposed to be wrestling each other. Well, really.
I mean,
it's initial negotiations to a wrestling match. It's not really, wrestling each other yet.
I agree. But a subsection of the AEW fans absolutely would. Mostly the queer and the fans and the women.
Oh yeah.
Like, you've seen Hangman Page and Swerve.
Oh yeah. Like,
it exists. And Kenny Omega is back, and Ibushi's liking all his tweets, and Kenny is talking about him. So, yeah. But I am happy that we're here, like literally kissing each other. That's cool. Robbie also kissed Yo, by the way, but Yo wasn't as into it. He was with Fujita.
Yeah, it'll work out fine. Whereas, Yoshihashi and Oiwa have an entirely different way of discussing things, which is much more physical.
That sounds worse somehow, but it isn't.
It isn't. Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, I suppose. They did seem to enjoy hitting each other exceptionally hard, though.
Yeah, they got really into it.
They did. Otherwise, why would they keep doing it?
quite a lot of passion there.
Yes, they're releasing things.
Stiff action.
Yes, indeed. We probably should leave it on the stiff action comment. Yeah, okay then. That was your today at Wrestling Christmas. The whole thing. We're done. On the 8th of January, we're finished now. I've got to take the wreath off my front door. I keep forgetting. I'm going to have to do that tomorrow. So that's it. And thank you very much for listening to the last, how many days is it? 3 weeks of professional wrestling that I've covered on this show, from the 27th of December to the 8th of January, except for the last 2 days. We've had a show a day. And that's been amazing. And we'll start, I was wrapping up New Year Dash. We will be back on Monday with a very special Troopany show when we do wrestling fan favourites, won't we, Christy?
Yes, I guess.
Actually, no, it's not this Monday. We're going to record it this weekend. It won't be on this Monday. It'll be the following Monday. This Monday, you'll be listening to myself and Michelle Kane talking about DDT Ultimate Party. My apologies. Sorry, Michelle. We'll be talking about that this weekend, on this coming Monday. And then the following week, we'll be doing wrestling fan favourites. Just putting it out there. Which will be really interesting because it'll be fun. Where can we find you on the internet, Christy?
You can find me at Smark Infested on both Twitter and Blue Sky, at AJPW Gifts on Twitter, and all about All Japan, all about AJPW. I think the handle is on Twitter and Blue Sky.
There you go. You can find me at Sheriff Lone Star on Twitter, Blue Sky, and on Mastodon, and on Instagram as Sheriff Lone Star TX. You can find the Troopany Show on Blue Sky and Twitter and Instagram as Troopany Show, and the Troopany Show on Patreon and on Facebook. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening to all of these shows. We really appreciate it, and thank you very much for enjoying your wrestling. I'm going to edit this now because it's going to take me a while. But take care, and we'll speak to you on Monday for Ultimate Party. Bye.